Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the House of Commons. My name is Angel Suji, and to my left,
Ike Onoha, House of Commons.
LD Demola, House of Commons.
Pascal Atuma, House of Commons.
House of Commons.
House of Commons. This is the cheers. Come on, y'all.
Yeah. Drink.
Oh, you more here like you.
Drink water, right?
Drink more water.
Yeah.
Okay, sometimes people make statements about how other people are Uncle Toms, or they're people are sellouts or whatever, and they get these titles for different reasons. Sometimes it's for the same reason that we're going to talk about today. And the question is, do black people need to get away from other black people to become more successful? So I'm not going to start, but I will just start off. Actually, I will start actually. When I was growing up in the early 90s, it was almost like a trend. It stopped a little bit though, that when you became successful, what do? You go get you a white woman. In the early 90s, a lot of men that were made, they were not going to our own like that. And I feel like that's like a beginning part of this discussion, because it was almost like, I think a part of it is to arrive is to disassociate yourself with yourself. And now it's changed because people are like, okay, now times have changed, not so much like that anymore. But when I was coming up, that was to me, that was a sentiment.
Okay, so you're saying it from the perspective of somebody who is thinking, or someone who believes, or someone who takes the approach of, in order for me to arrive, I have to get away from my kind, right?
Yeah, it's just another version of it. Okay. You know, it's not that we're probably going to take it different ways and avenues, but it's just
how about this perspective?
Okay.
Do you think, and I'm speaking of, we're going to talk about blacks in America?
Yeah.
And blacks in...
Sorry to interrupt. Yeah. I think before you speak or say anything, can we state what we believe? Do you answer the question? Do you have to get away from black people to become successful?
Well,
let's go around.
Oh, you think we should do that?
Right.
I mean, do you want to do that?
Yeah.
So what is your answer? Do you have to get away from black people to become successful? Yes or no?
No, you don't.
Okay.
No, I don't think you do, but can I explain?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, so
we're going to explain anyways.
Okay,
so
go ahead.
No, definitely no.
Capital N-O, no.
Okay, let's go this way then. Okay. Go ahead.
For me, born and raised in Nigeria, black nation. So I don't see any difference between doing business with a white man or doing with a black man. All I see is what can you bring to the table. So I don't see getting away from you or not getting away from you affecting what I want to achieve. The only thing that I believe is, if you have what I need or what I want, I'm going to do business with you, black or white. So I don't have to get away from anybody, black or white, to do what I got to do.
Okay. Now, in the context of what though? In America or Nigeria? So you know America is different.
In the context of the world, because the world has become a global village. So when we speak, I speak in that
globally.
sense.
Okay, so
so to ask you a question, you've done business with white people, you've done business with African Americans, you've done business with Nigerians. Okay. Based on the results of the business you did, which has been the easiest to complete? Have you found any specific difficulties in completing business with a specific race, or do you think it's
based on my experience, right? Based on what I've experienced in doing business, I've been in business now with my brother for 21 years. So having been in our own business now for 21 years, the success of our business doesn't depend on the color of any individual or the race. It depends on the character of the individual. So if I'm going to answer that question, I would say I can't say I've been more successful doing this as an African American, or white person. It just depends on who we're dealing with. There's bad people everywhere across the board. There's good people everywhere across the board. There's intelligent businessmen across the board. There's dumb businessmen across the board.
Can I ask a question?
So that's the way I feel about it.
I just want to ask one quick question.
Okay.
Why do you think this topic is valid? We're having this discussion for a specific reason.
Right.
So why is it valid?
So yeah, can I jump in? Although we were going to go round.
No, I just wanted to ask you because I wanted to clarify.
You know what? Well, this topic is so valid because of where we come from. There's this African mentality that anything white is better than black, and it still exists till tomorrow, till today, till tomorrow. If I was to take an average Joe that works at Walmart, for the sake of using Walmart, I'm not saying Walmart is the poorest business, but let's say Walmart is an average business, right? Let's take a white man that works at Walmart, and I take him with me to Nigeria, right? And I'm sitting on the table talking business, and that man opens his mouth. Do you know those Nigerians will listen to everything? They will chop everything that man says than what I will say.
Do we
Because
want
of the skin
percentage-
color.
Do we want to be real?
Do you agree, yes or no?
Of a generalized percentage, I cannot argue against that because I've seen it happen almost 100 times.
Of
That's just
course.
talking in Nigeria,
Of
right?
course. My brother, what he just said just happens to me almost every time. Most of the times they will call the Nigerians, our fellow Nigerians coming to here to produce films. Someone will tell them, call Pascal. Once they say Pascal, so Pascal, where is he from? Nigeria. This is a Nigerian, so they won't want to deal with me. They don't believe.
Okay, now let
They
me
don't
ask you.
believe
Okay.
that I have what they are looking
Now let me
for.
ask you this.
That might be
Let
a
me ask
different
you this.
context.
No,
too.
that might be a different context.
Yes, that might be a
But the
different
question
context.
is, do you have to get away from black people to be successful?
Yeah.
Do you think that's the mentality they have, that working with a black person is
The mentality they have is what Ike said.
They believe that the white man knows better
believe that
than
the
you.
white man know better than you.
And will
They-
get them
will get
where
them
they want to go faster than you
Oh,
because
know,
of the skin color.
That's what will happen, right?
I-
And someone comes in here from Nigeria and wants to produce a film, they send her to me, right? Then she, instead of her, when she found out I'm Nigerian, right? She doesn't want to go through me. Then she wants to go through this white boy. Then she meets this white boy, and that person comes, and the white boy says, "Oh, I'll take you to my boss."
And
The
the
white
boss
boy
brought you to you.
the white boy brought her back to me.
Wow, look at
You
that.
see what I'm saying? And then when they came back, inside me, right, I was going like, what the hell
Okay,
is this?
let me give you a good example. When I was in Nigeria, right, I went to University of Lagos, right. I did my IT at an engineering firm, right. Do you know who the boss was at that engineering firm? A man from Poland that had associate degree. He was the chief engineer. I mean, while you had Nigerians that had masters and PhDs and this, and they're working under. The guy had a 2-year degree. But because his skin was white, he was the boss.
Now let me ask you
Oh,
this.
That mentality.
Did you check his years of experience?
Pascal, years of experience or no years of experience? Let me tell you.
Engineering is a different.
Let me tell you. He went to a 2-year institution first of all. Okay.
Which year?
Good.
Which year?
The-
Because I give you
the
example.
point is-
the 2 years institution that my father attended in 1950 or 60, right? It's almost equivalent to a PhD program.
Probably more.
Maybe.
But
Maybe.
so you need to
Maybe,
check
but
that
the
too.
point is, Nigerian mentality will gravitate to a white skin color first before you even check what degree.
Can I say something? Can I say
That's
one
true,
quick
that's
thing?
true, That's true.
That is changing though, because they will slap the hell out of them. I've seen it in the airport.
I've seen it in the airport too. Where
That is changing
okay,
a
but
little
let me say
bit.
something though. Let me say something.
But-
one thing that we're doing.
I just want to say one quick thing. Let's not veer from the top. The topic was
Do we have to
Us.
Yeah.
let's
Yeah.
stay with that.
Yeah.
But I just want to just point that out. That is kind
because
of
we've talked about, the white guy, which is
yeah.
we don't have to go there yet because charity begins at home. We're talking
Yeah.
about us. In order to be successful, do we have to get away from?
Sometimes we have to get away from our people.
But going away.
Sometimes
Are you? Because the question is, are you talking about a deeper issue that we have? Because when we get away, we're getting away from
Let me
us.
explain
We're
shit.
doing something else. That's why you have to talk about
Let me
other
explain
people.
why I said that. I'll give you an example. I've lived in Los Angeles now for 13 years. I know you don't. Do you see me in many of our parties? You don't see me. Why don't I go to our parties?
Is that why you're successful?
No.
You know what, though?
That's not why.
You know what? Can I say something about that? That's the reason why I don't go
Okay.
to that many Nigerian
Is that the
events.
same reason
Because
both of you have?
no.
No.
Go ahead.
I'm trying to make a point.
Okay.
When I first came into LA, I used to get too close to our people. I wanted to be around our people, but I got bumped.
Why? How did you get
Yeah.
bumped?
I got bumped. I got stabbed in my back that it almost killed me.
Okay.
Right? And after that, I was stabbed that way. I decided I don't want to mingle with these people again. So that's when I moved to North Hollywood.
Okay.
And then, I'm not gonna lie to you, I had to get away to find my sanity.
Now,
Do you understand what
to
I'm
kind of
saying? So
piggyback on what he
that's
said,
Yeah, what's
right?
yours?
Of course, the answer is no, right? The answer is no. You do not have to get away from black
But
people.
sometimes,
Well,
sometimes you do.
let me say this: to find like-minded Nigerians, right, is like finding diamonds, right? You mentioned something about not going to parties. The reason why I don't go to that many Nigerian parties is because I've been to a few, and before we have fun, we criticize. That's what I've seen. Somebody walks in, everyone
They weigh you from
tearing you down.
Yeah.
It's happened about 8 out of 10 times. Someone's smiling at you as soon as you walk away. You're about to call it unyimu. That means you went like, you know, there's a story that probably does not exist that they've already told to the whole planet about you.
Yeah.
The person that is saying it, I'm telling you about him. As soon as you go, he's coming. I'm telling him about you. And it's this continuous cycle.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying this is an excuse to get away from, you know, your own to be successful, but I think there's a word that you mentioned, drained.
Yeah.
It is draining when you have to be cautious about entrusting your brother,
Yeah.
right? Because not just talking about Nigerians. You mentioned something earlier about the idea of finding success and you becoming Uncle Tom. To me, that's kind of scary because there was a time where getting educated was a bad thing,
Oh yeah.
right? And getting educated was doing what the man says. Am I right?
There was a time getting educated was a bad thing.
Oh my goodness! You were looked at. It was basically looked at as you were a
It
sellout.
wasn't cool to be smart.
Getting educated.
It wasn't even cool. It wasn't even cool to sound smart at a time.
No.
It wasn't even cool.
What time was that?
Grammatically speaking correctly, like
wasn't
speaking
cool.
proper grammar was
That's
looked at
new.
as
That's
you
new.
know. So
Depending
On the environment.
The environment.
The environment you live in.
now the truth about America is, since you mentioned earlier, the white America is where most of the resources are.
Yeah.
Right. That's where most of them have been. So in order to get those resources, you have to be interviewed by them. You have to work in their companies. Right.
Yeah.
It's just a fact.
You have to deal with them.
You have to work.
I'll give you an example in our business. If you want to have distribution for your movies in this country, both television and film, you have to deal with white people, bro.
Okay, so now let me ask you this.
Okay,
Let me ask you a question.
yeah.
Let me ask you a question. You probably can answer this better than I can. In the business of movie making, right? How many Nigerian people have started companies for distribution
Where?
in America here?
0%.
0%.
I guess that's your point. That's why that's all the people you have to deal with.
Yeah. So
that's-
And is that because? Do you think that is because of the separation of not doing business? Because there's no way someone like you's been making movies and 100 other people have been making movies, and not one person has built up the courage or the power to actually unite everything and make it.
So we used to have distribution for the African movie. It depends on what kind of film you're making. If you're making films really for the African people, we have distribution for that. If you're making film for the universal market for America to consume, like go into Netflix, Redbox,
It's the same channel you have to go to.
Yeah, it's a different ball game. So it depends on who you're cooking it for. So, but for the African to Africans, we have that. But Africans to Walmart or Africans to Best Buy or Africans having a distribution company that will go to like cinemas in America, we don't have that yet.
Because I'm really. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Let's come back to the topic, right? Now, getting away. Do we have to be to get away from black people to be successful, right? That's our topic, right? I said, no, we don't have to, but you just have to pick and choose who you deal with, white or black. We don't necessarily. I'm always opposed to the fact that people label things. I don't like labeling like this is a black man. I don't have to deal with another black man, and I don't like to deal with people based on integrity, on character.
The mentality.
Yes.
On what they can bring to the table.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm colorblind when it comes to dealing in any kind of business with people.
Okay.
With dating, I'm colorblind.
I will agree with you as far as the colorblind thing, but I will say, majority of the business that I've done in America are with other Nigerians. Because charity begins at home. It's easier for me to explain my vision to somebody who understands my story. And the same thing happens in every other culture. Filipinos will work with Filipino people, Chinese people, because it's a lot easier. Now here's the thing I'll say though. I think a lot of our growth is restricted by not telling the truth, right? So, for example, you know, this is kind of, I'm gonna go back to the point. Somebody who's been through marriage, right? Somebody who's in a bad relationship will go in the public eye and act like everything's great.
Everything
Right?
is cool and dandy.
Everything is cool and
Because
dandy.
of what the family would say, what
Exactly.
people would say, the labeling and blah blah blah.
And when you
Yeah.
look at let's say the white culture in America, right? Or you look at most Western cultures, before you even ask, they're telling you
telling you
what the
everything.
truth is.
In 5 minutes, they told you how
They're,
to
they
life.
told you
They told you
everything,
a
right?
life story.
And whether you judge them or not, your perspective is input. Whether it's important or not, it's input. They can take that information, they can go away. But in our culture in Nigeria, right?
Yeah.
I come
rather
be
suffer
super
that thing.
with it.
And dying,
Suffer and
dying,
die.
dying,
Yes.
To
dying.
me,
Tell
that's
your
one
fellow
reason.
brother. Yeah.
Why it's hard to, work together with Nigerians, because we have to break so many walls down to get the actual truth.
Well, definitely it's harder in the sense that you put it, but you don't have to get away from your fellow black man.
No, absolutely
Successful.
not. You actually
no.
find more success working
But,
within.
but the way, okay, go ahead, man.
No, I was just gonna say that another thing I wanted to add as far as getting away is it doesn't have to be necessarily a physical thing. Late great Stuart Scott that worked for ESPN for many years. He was known as a black man on television at that time.
Where it was,
black-
he was
As a black
popular.
man, but he was, he sounded the sound that was accepted by white America, but yet he was able to pinch in the vernacular, the lingo, in the midst of a climate that wasn't really, black folks are still viewed a certain way, and the way we talk and our culture is at times from the white gaze is looked at sometimes as a lesser man. So when people say getting away from black folks to be successful, it's not, for me, it's not just a physical thing. It's not just about business. It's about view as well. I have friends that say, you know what, I cannot go to a job interview going natural. I cannot do it because
You know how deep that is, though?
I can't go to job interview doing
Okay,
natural.
then let me ask you, to kind of piggyback off what you said. What is, I guess, our success? So if I was to look at black success as a generalization, what can we pinpoint as our success? Or is it,
Okay.
is it impossible to kind of measure it? Or?
It depends on
Yeah.
what parameter you're putting in as success. What are you measuring?
What are some examples of black success? If I
Okay,
said
I'll give you an example.
there are a group of black people
Okay.
who do this, and they're known for this.
I'll give you an example. Once you talk about success in America, right as we speak today, the first person that comes in my head is Michael Jordan.
Got it.
Because Michael Jordan is someone that have gone from being a high school basketball player to a college basketball player to an NBA basketball player to GM and now owner of a basketball team in America. That for me is success.
Okay.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
Okay.
That for me is success.
Okay.
Now, in that same aspect, in that same therefore, we're looking at there's other basketball players who have played basketball.
Okay, so our success is
and
basketball?
their money,
Okay.
right? So when you talk about success, and in that field, I'll take Michael as the success. Having played in NBA is not a success. It's having played in NBA and actually coming back to own an NBA team. For me, that is success.
Okay, so if I said, this is again trying to make a point out of generalization, which is pretty hard. But if I said the, Chinese community, they do this, right? If I said the Jewish community, they do this. What can I say is black success?
And one of my friends said this. I know y'all probably gonna laugh like what, but one of my friends was like, they got Chinatown, they got Little Armenia, they got all these places in LA. We got it all here. There's no Nigeria, nothing.
We have little Ethiopia.
But we don't. Well, okay.
And I'm talking about, I can see you thinking really deep.
Yeah.
Don't try to front. Look in the camera thing. I'm really trying to say,
But
Well,
what
I
is our success?
we don't have.
I never looked at it the way you said it before.
As a united success?
Yeah, as a united front. Like you said, Chinese people, they own Chinese restaurants.
Okay, and other businesses.
And other businesses.
These Jewish people,
They own-
business.
But it's not just about owning that business. It's a structure in which they
It's
do
like
it.
having a say. Basically.
One of my friends, his wife
That's actually-
works for a dry cleaner, and she's Mexican, but the people are they're Asian, and they're like, you know what, we don't want you to go, So we're gonna pay for your schooling. We're gonna pay for everything for you. We're gonna support you and everything. And we want to set you up so you can one day maybe run this yourself. You know.
And this is an Asian with a
With a Hispanic group.
Oh wow.
Because she trusts the fact that she's gonna do well, and that they trust her character.
So
The way they believe in her. She tried to leave, and they were like, "What are we gonna find the person's gonna do? What this person?"
I can still see him thinking.
I'm
What is
not
a
saying-
united? Because you can't say you haven't thought about it as a united front, because the truth is, to build,
Well,
it needs to be united.
well,
Yeah.
to answer your question, there really is no united front when it comes to Nigerians in LA or in America.
Okay, how about black?
But even blacks, I don't think there's one either.
Think about different.
Okay, so
I can say, okay,
I'll put it this way: we have different small blocks of fronts, but not a united
Like what?
front. Well, if you say movies, you have
Okay.
some like the Tyler Perrys or the Spike Lees, that have built something for themselves. That they
Have built something
for themselves, and now bringing the community.
Okay.
They've created a path.
Okay.
If you talk about things like financial, whatever.
Oh, black people play basketball. Black people
Okay, that's
Can I
That's
say
not a front, right?
Can I say one thing? Can I say one thing? Just to give black folks some credit. At least in America. I'm not gonna talk about Nigerians. That's a different. To me, that's a different.
No, we're
discussion.
talking about all
Yeah.
blacks.
Black folks in general in America. I know that from just a glance, it looks like maybe we're not being as successful as far as entrepreneurs, but we're actually compared to past generations.
Oh no, they're stepping big time.
Bruh,
Big time.
a lot of them own franchises. I live in Chino Hills. Apparently, I live in Chino Hills, and I went into Hoagie or like one of these little sandwich spots, and I'm walking in. It's like 9:03. They close at 9, and it's this maybe like 45-year-old black lady was like, no, go, no, they'll take care of you. I was like, huh? It didn't even register. I was like, she owns that thing.
Okay.
She owns it. I was like, oh snap. She's like, no, they'll make it for you because the dudes they had kicked me out. It's like, no, that we closed. She's like, no, come on, no, I got you. No, don't take care.
How do you have to feel?
First of all, my first feeling was like, damn, I just assumed that, we don't do this. That was my first one. We don't do this. Secondly, I was super proud that a black woman was running this business.
That's a whole nother topic that we should get into. another
Yeah,
day, but-
with a capital WOMAN, whatever. I think it's a woman. But you know what I'm saying? Like that's something I'm seeing. So in their defense, this new generation is trying. At least rappers are owning
definitely
businesses and franchises.
They're owning record labels and things like that. We have the Jay-Z's that are doing so well.
No, but they're not just doing that.
That's what I'm saying. We have small blocks of blocks, but we don't have a general building block like you said, like the Chinese. That's where we need to get to.
Yeah, okay, so my question to you is this, LD. So are you saying that because we don't have that, is that why we have to get away from our own people to get success?
No, at all. I didn't. That's not what I'm saying.
No,
At all.
I'm
Okay, we've given an example. We've given several examples of successful black people. If we look at their circle, right? If we look at their circle, if we look at their support, how is it structured?
That's the thing. You see that, right before this topic, I was saying successful, wealthy men, they bring other wealthy people around them because that way they become more successful. I think that's where you're going with that. Most of our black, successful business people don't really do that. The structure below them is different races.
Which
So
is
these things should change though.
And I'm sorry, and we're fighting each other up. We're fighting each other up the ladder.
I want you to say it again.
We're fighting each other up that ladder too.
Okay, yeah.
So we all want to eat. So this is the thing. Let me just put this out there. I saw an interview with Taraji P. Henson about Empire, and she was saying it's possible for a lot more people to eat in this industry, but we've been told for some reason that one person, i.e., Kevin Hart, is going to be the guy right now. So that's the guy. That's a black person that's going to eat. Per studio, we get one black person that's going to be the guy, that's going to be the face of whatever.
Like we just gave an example.
So we're gonna fight that guy.
Sorry.
So Mike Epps, and Mike Epps is not like a small fry. I'm not saying he's super successful, but he's pretty successful. Caught himself hating on Kevin Hart.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Let,
Well, and now, why would situations like that happen when we all have an opportunity to win?
Wow.
let me ask you this. Sorry. You mentioned Spike Lee and Kevin and Tyler Perry.
Okay. Oh yeah. Oh.
Exactly.
Now you know.
Even though in the same industry, they still like tearing each other down. I see what you're saying.
Let me tell you.
Okay, I wanna hear what you-
Let me tell you what I have to say about that.
Okay.
It's jealousy.
Yes.
It's envy. Then another thing too is a lot of people don't want other people to do better than them. Then a lot of people too wants to do what doesn't belong to them because someone else did it and became successful. Do you understand what I'm saying? And then in that situation, especially in our industry, just because you make movie or you make movie and you make movie and I make movie doesn't mean that four of us are going to be successful filmmakers. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Some people.
And when we say success, again, it's individual because I don't have to make millions to feel successful.
Yes.
That's just my
Yeah.
personal
Yes, but you see, four of us can come together and put our heads together and make one big movie that make four of us successful.
How common is that?
Okay.
And why isn't it common?
It's not very common. And I'll tell you why it's not very common. It's not very common because of ego. Egos get in place. Then there's another thing that get in place. Just gossip. Gossip destroys a lot of. I give you an example myself in our industry, the Nollywood USA industry. I used to work a lot in Houston. You know that, right? In the Texas area, but the gossip was too much gossip, too much people thinking that if they don't get you out of this market, they themselves wouldn't rise. Do you understand what I'm saying? Then I spoke with my agent and a couple of my people, and we started lessening the level of my contact with them. Now I really don't work there anymore.
So can I add something?
Now,
Does that go back to the point?
hold on,
though?
yeah. Now I really don't work there anymore. Since I stopped working over there, they still have not been able to raise their star themselves. Whereas even we all kept working together, by now maybe 3 or 4 people would have been.
Okay, sorry to cut you off.
So,
but
but that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So it's just simple gossip, and because they were thinking if he leaves, then we can spring out. But they forgot that you cannot spring if you don't have a springboard.
in Los Angeles, the perspective is a little bit different, right?
Right.
I've been to Atlanta, I've been to DC, right? I haven't been there too long, so I don't know the clear picture. But I'm assuming by population, there are a lot more blacks in Atlanta and in DC. You've been to different places, most of you have been. What would you say the black entrepreneurship and business looks like in those places?
Atlanta, the best. Atlanta, that's a lot of black people own businesses in
Yeah.
Atlanta.
Yeah.
Big time. rich
Houston
boys.
also.
Yeah,
Houston as well.
Houston as well. Houston, there's a lot of guys.
A lot of Nigerians.
Nigerians.
A lot of Nigerians that are above average.
And they're working together.
I don't know about working together, but they work
they have
probably
a channel,
in the same industry. Like
Yeah.
when I was in Houston, I used to live in Houston about 11, 12 years ago. What people used to do a lot back then was own a lot of like nursing homes, staffing businesses, anything healthcare. It was huge, and they were trying to get me to do stuff like that. I mean, I'll give it to them. They're trying to teach me the ropes and show me to do this, but that was not my that's not my cup of tea. But anyway, just to digress a little bit, I like what you said about Empire. I mean, thank goodness we have a TV show like this that has elevated the game to another level.
It's all black.
Because
It's all black.
Exactly.
From the person holding the camera.
Exactly.
From what I've heard.
Exactly. Well, I wouldn't say it's all black.
Oh,
The creators of the show, Daniel Strong, it's
Yeah.
not black. It's not black.
Yeah.
But I get the point. The point is now Hollywood believes you don't have to be an all-white cast to be successful. A TV show that has 24 million views, oh my God, in the history of television has never been before, and it's a black show. Wow, thank God this thing happened to us in this business. It gives us a lot of hope.
And And it's
that barrier is broken.
and we're gonna start sprouting up new black shows. and
Exactly.
some more-
As a matter of fact, today I went on a set of a predominantly Hispanic cast, and the producers were comparing their shows to Empire. That made me feel so good.
That's a good thing.
Yeah.
That made me feel so good.
I can't.
Oh, it's definitely.
So-
If you talk about engagement,
Wow.
go ahead.
Yeah, you know what I would say is this: we don't have to get away from our people to be successful. We can work with our people, but we have to be selective.
It looks like you're doing a conclusion. Is that what you're doing? Okay, you might as well, yeah.
We have to be selective. Doesn't matter if someone is white, green, yellow, or black. If you see someone that can help you grow, work with the person. Is what I'm saying. If the person is black, they want to work with you, and you want to work with them, work with them. If the person is black, you know that working with them is going to be detrimental to your success. You don't have to work with them. Do you understand what I'm saying? If the person is black and you know that working with him is going to put your name into jeopardy, you don't have to work with that person. If the person is white, the same thing. So I say all human beings just judge people according to the content of their character, not their skin or their race. That's my conclusion.
In my conclusion, do you have to go away from black people to become successful? Absolutely not. I believe you actually become more. I always say charity begins at home. It's easier to become way more successful in anything, however you look at success, when you work with your brothers. There's a reason why majority of the companies that started back in the day were so and sons, so and sons, because you keep it in the family because it's a lot easier, kind of understand. But as he said, you know, and I'll speak Nigerian mentality. I think it's about time for us to start understanding that you don't have to stand in front to be the leader, right? You see what I'm saying? You don't have to get all the credit to be a leader. Leaders understand how to position themselves right, but make the momentum continue. You know, so work with your brothers, work with your sisters. You basically have to. That is the easiest way to become successful. But you know, keep in mind, you know, basically, you know, try your best to work with your family, but also be welcoming to new ideas. Be welcoming to being entrusted in delivering your promise.
And be careful too.
Exactly.
I think this taps into something that is really interesting. You know, when we're trying to get into doors or gates that are being held by people from other races, like white folks, then this conversation is really relevant because now how black I am or how much I'm associated with black folks will affect what doors I get into, don't get into, depending on what I'm trying to do. Now, if all of us say, you know what, bump them, forget everybody, we're going to do our own thing, that's a different discussion now. If we're all on the same playing field and think the same, at least we have the same business mind and have the same focus and goal in mind.
My question is going to stay the same though. I'm sorry to cut you off. How often?
No, I mean, but if that's
Start somewhere.
what a capital if.
Yeah.
That's the necessary assumption.
Yeah.
The capital if is if we can all come together and have the same mind frame. That one person doesn't feel like one other person is outshining the other person, or one person doesn't feel that, you know, they feel insecure about what they can't do or what they can do, or you know, it's hard to run from. But if
Especially in this, sorry to cut you off again, in this industry,
it's really,
oh my goodness.
you know, and a lot of things that we do in this industry is directly tied to your ego.
Yeah.
So it's hard to run from that.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes just I'm funny.
I know a lot of people in the industry who because of their ego, they decide to live in ignorance.
Yeah.
Because of their ego.
Yeah.
They rather die in ignorance than open up.
That's a big shame.
I know a lot in the industry.
I'm done. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, in my conclusion, I would like to say, quote two people. One is Martin Luther King when he said, one day he believes he wants his children to see, he has a dream to see his children be judged by the content of their character, of their skin, of their character, rather than the content of their skin. But you know, so I mean, like you said, it's all about deal with people based on
What they can bring to the table.
character and not based on race, not based
Or
on skin
color,
or color. Because I think you're myopic when you do stuff like that. You're really
It's
short-sighted.
not that it
Also,
is.
Myopic when you do stuff like that.
Hell,
Very, very
cheers, my people.
But I'm not finished. I have one more. And the second thing I want to say is the words of Zig Ziglar, which says that you can have everything you want in life if you just help enough other people get what they want in life.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That word is so true.
Exactly.
And it's helped me a lot in my life. It's helped me a lot, and definitely you guys will see the fruit of what I'm talking about more because you're my friends. And you
Let me
will
just
see
say
the fruit.
something.
But
Hold on.
that's so true.
Before we cheers,
Yeah.
we just give a lot of credit to Empire for being all black. But looking at the set, you know, it's kind of all black men.
Yeah.
Again,
I'm
this
white.
I beg. APT.
Yes, sir.
Cheers.
You can't say I'm white compared to you. Look at
Please turn off the camera.